In chat yet, but
probably not too many people on a Monday morning.
I got a feeling I'm about to crawl in the mountain. Oh, no, it came out. Maybe. I'm losing for some reason. I'm losing. Not sure why that's doing that.
Let me look at chat, see if there's anybody here. I see no one in chat.
Yeah, there wasn't anybody in there that I saw.
I guess at this point, it's not even necessary to say good morning to anyone.
Well, good morning to you guys.
Good morning to you, Steve.
Yeah.
I edited a video. The one it's not going to air this week. I think it's going to air next week because I think I'm 2 videos ahead. I did some channel shout outs, and then after I got finished with them, I thought I didn't shout out Steve and I didn't shout out Boxcar Jerry. So I'm going to have to go back in and edit in some things that aren't really there.
Oh, I'm not important. That's okay.
Well, I mean, the thing is I shouted everybody else out that's back on track because I've yet to promote back on track on my channel yet. I just keep forgetting. And so I did that, and then I just, off the top of my head, here's Bill, and here's Claude, yada, yada. And then didn't include anyone else and thought, well, that kind of looks like I'm maybe deliberately not telling everyone else who's all in the channel.
Oh, I think they would know better.
Yeah, probably.
There, why are you jumping? I don't think it's that. Oh, that's why that is. That may be what I should have done was use the other ones. I'll have to. Well, not that one, but that one's. Huh. That's weird. These look like the same. Oh, that's much better. Try that group. See what we get. Hey, Wilmer's here. Good morning, Wilmer.
Morning, Wilbur.
And
Morning,
and the
Wilmer.
plumber 33 is here. Good to see you guys.
Morning. I should move my camera.
I got a little bit something special this morning. I've actually got a train running. Trying to get it running. Trying to get it where it's not derailing on me.
What are you using for power?
GP7. It's just 2 reefer cars and a caboose.
How's it going, Mr. Plumber? What's your first name? I can't call you Mr. Plumber.
I think he's told us before, and I can't ever remember.
Oh, I know they tell us, but I never remember.
No, I never do.
Ever.
Well, as you can see on my on the second camera, I got the slaughterhouse done, and the reefer loading platforms for the cut beef are here, and the oh, I got something shortening. What's going on over here? We came loose.
Anybody know what the
We have
minimum
catastrophe in the
height
tunnel.
distance of the tunnel is for HO?
Can't hear you over the cows. What'd you say again, Dennis?
Well, what's the minimum height distance for HO or HO narrow gauge?
Height for
3 inches?
for a tunnel?
Yeah.
Tall enough that it doesn't hit your train.
Yeah, I had I used to have and I do still somewhere, a plastic clearance gauge. The NMRA gauge is pretty close. It's got building and tunnels clearances, and then platform height clearances, and that's pretty close.
Yeah, I've got one of those, but unfortunately I left it down in Sayre where I'm building all of my turnouts.
Aha. This second, I'll tell you how tall it is. And then I can measure the portals here. Yeah, it's 3 inches, Dennis.
3 inches, that's what I
The
thought.
gauge is 3 inches. And I'm pretty sure the tunnels are 3. Yeah, tunnels are 3 too. Portals are.
And what that means to me is that my structure here that I built needs to come up 1 full inch. That's unfortunate. It's a lot of work to have to undo and redo.
Oh, crap.
Which,
I think my GP7 derailed in the tunnel back there. I think it derailed before it went in the tunnel. And just kept crawling. I have nothing to get that other with other than crawling underneath the layout, which I really don't want to do. Let's see if I can feel it now just right there. Don't think it-
Let's see who we got here. Oh, we got Jack. Welcome. We got Digger. Sheep Boy. Good morning, everybody. Nothing exciting happening this morning.
I'm just glad I don't have a camera over here where you can see me trying to fish this out of this tunnel.
And Mr. Plummer's name is Steven. With a PH.
Who is Steven?
That is the Plumber 33.
Oh, okay.
We got Digger.
Steven, I will try and remember that, but I'm not guaranteeing anything.
And Lee popped in. Good morning, Lee.
Hey, Lee. And Digger's here. Hey, good morning, guys. Or afternoon, as the case may be.
I've got Gus in here too, Digger, but he's over asleep as usual.
Well, I'm going to switch to building a windmill. Campbell Scale Models windmill. This is going to go in the feed lot behind the slaughterhouse. And the feed lot's going to go where the computer's sitting right now.
I spend more time looking for stuff than I do working.
Yeah, that's me.
I've got a pencil here somewhere that is crucial to my entire operation, and I can't find it.
Isn't that always how it goes?
Yeah.
And I have been detailing brass. I was telling Claude I hate polishing brass.
Is that how it goes? Surely not. That's a tight fit. Need a razor blade. Hey, Joe. Crazy Joe's here.
Hey, Joe.
Morning, Joe.
I'm working with this razor blade, so if you stick around, you might get to see some blood. I cut my finger the other day with a piece of rail. I was building those turnouts, and I'd laid that piece of cut rail down. It was about 18 inches long. And I reached for something and didn't see that rail and hit that rail, and it sliced my finger pretty good.
Well, hell, those points are like razor blades anyway.
Yeah, well, this wasn't even a point. This was just a piece of cut rail. Of course, the cut ends are pretty sharp, too. That then sounded like me or Steve.
Anytime you try to use a tape measure over 2 feet, you can guarantee it's going to bend, break, and wibble wobble everywhere you don't want it to.
Yep. Even a 1 inch wide will do that. I've gotten them to stay straight and get a good Stanley and stay straight, but if anything wind hits them or anything like that, it'll buckle. Okay, this goes. Oh, sure. That's the way they tell you to make this thing.
Ding, ding.
We got 11 people.
11 people with nothing to do.
Jason, the train freak's here.
Jason.
Hey, Jason.
Gus Hadley, the lunatic from Armo. That's one I haven't seen before.
Hey, Gus. I like that. I like that title. I think they did this the wrong way. They should have said do it like that. Would have worked better.
Now I can just find my drill.
You find your pencil?
I found my pencil. Now I need to find my drill.
Well, it's probably right next to the pencil.
Well, if that were the case, I would have it located. So I
You would
it must
think.
be out in the shop.
You would think, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I looked for something again the other day, and it was right where I'd looked the very first place, and of course it wasn't there. Well, it was there. I just didn't see it.
They always say it's the last place you look, so why don't you look at the last place?
Well,
Look at the last place
just
first.
found
Yeah.
it around the corner.
Okay. No clue. Yeah, get ready to paint this windmill, Dennis. I'll have to come out to your house
Well, you just let me know and I'll
so I can get the right colors.
expect you.
I would see a few on the way out there. I know. How far is your house from Cleo Springs?
From Cleo Springs, I'm probably an hour,
Okay.
give or take.
That's about what I thought, because it's like 2.5 out to there, out to Fairview, which is just south of Cleo.
Right. Yeah.
We went out there. They have that great big fly-in out there, breakfast and lunch deal where people from all over the country come fly their little planes in there just to have breakfast and lunch, and then they fly home. And we drove, last time we did it, we drove all the way out there, and they have it in November. And that part of the state in November is always iffy on weather.
Well, depending on who you ask, it doesn't matter what month it is, it's always iffy.
Yeah.
Except for in August where it's just brutally hot all the time.
Well, we got out there and it was like 500-foot ceiling and misty rain. And we'd driven all the way out there and stayed overnight, and it never got better.
What is chat saying?
I'm afraid to look.
Hey, we got Crazy Joel. How are you doing? Haven't seen you in a while. How are the birds? Hey, Bernard.
Oh, Bernard, how you doing?
I think Bernard's my #1 fan.
We need to get you on the show, Bernard.
Yeah.
Good idea. Oh, I've lost my pencil again.
Look underneath you.
I put it someplace safe.
If I was sitting at the workbench, that's where it'd be. I'd be sitting on it.
I have a roll around tool caddy. I try to put everything back in the tool caddy, but I have to actually think about doing that before I do it. Problem.
See, that doesn't look too bad.
Well, how many times have you gone to put something away or put something out of the way, and you set it there, and it doesn't matter if it's a tool or supplies or whatever, and then you're as you're setting it down, you're going, now I got to remember that I set it right here, and then when you go to find it, you can't find it.
Happens to me all the time.
Yeah. I'll do that. I'll go, now I shouldn't set this here because I'm not going to remember it's here. That makes a nifty little windmill. So if I got to glue that together, I just don't want to, I don't know if I should use CA on that. I have no idea what kind of plastic that is.
What do with my tweezers?
My wife is allegedly in chat, but apparently I haven't said anything.
Uh-oh.
Allegedly?
Yeah, allegedly.
Well, good morning, Gail.
Off color enough to get her to pine in and say anything.
Well, since you screw up, you'll find out she's in there or not.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, I'm gonna sit down.
It's been a while since we did a beans, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. That's why I was saying we need to do one. Just because we haven't in a while.
I'm not going to want to run this thing, Claude, when I get done. It's going to be too shiny again.
Well, that's why I never cleaned my airplanes.
Yeah, because I forgot all the smoke box is all finished with brass rivets, and I forgot that because they're so covered with oil.
Yeah.
Black.
You can turn this down. You can see what I'm doing here. Yeah, turn it up. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, this is a pretty simple little kit.
And what is it? A windmill?
It's a windmill, yeah. Campbell scale models, but it's not real big. It's a typical feedlot, or not feedlot, but a
Stock tank?
yeah, a tank windmill.
What kind is it?
It's a windmill. I don't know. I'm a farmer.
I used to be a windmill mechanic.
Okay. Well, here, take a look at it and you can see for yourself what it is.
I got to see the tail.
The tail, it's got a big tail on it.
Yeah.
Might be a little bit big for Oklahoma.
Yeah. The tail and the bonnet is what is the dead giveaway of who the manufacturer is.
Well, this one looks typical of what I see driving through Oklahoma. Of course, most of the ones I see driving through Oklahoma aren't working anymore.
Yeah, it kind of depends on the area you're at. You know,
Yeah.
there in Alva, there's still, as far as I know, there's still a place that works on them. And really, most rural places have a windmill mechanic somewhere. But you see a lot more working windmills in areas like that than you will.
Yeah. Well, this is a Campbell scale models. Trying to get this on there, we can see it.
Yeah.
What is that? Kit 1604. You can order this from Tom online. That's where I got this one. A lot of the models from Campbell scale models that I bought, I got off of eBay. But you run into some problems with that sometimes. But this one I did buy straight from Tom.
And it's a plastic kit?
Yeah, it's a little plastic kit that, goes together in just a few minutes. I still have to paint it, of course.
I didn't know.
Yeah, we didn't have time to go see him when you were here.
Say that again. Say that
I
again,
didn't know
Steve.
Campbell's made plastic kits of any kind.
Oh, I didn't hear what Dennis said either.
No, I said it's too bad we didn't get to go see him when we were here.
Oh, yeah. Well, I would have had to set that up probably ahead of time, but
Okay, now I could put the headlight back on.
But from the couple of times I've dealt with him on email and phone, he's been a super nice guy. And of course, he's not the original owner of the company, but now this, what I'm getting ready to put together is some track bumpers. These are from Ivers Engineering. This is I'm assuming it's a fairly old kit. It's white metal, which you don't find too much anymore.
stay there.
Well, I know that feeling.
I sure hope nobody ever comes in here and crawls around underneath my bench work and looks at how I did things.
Well, I thought you were saying just the other day on the show that that's why you did stuff the way you did it, so people could tell what was going on.
Yeah.
You didn't really mean it, I guess.
No, I guess not.
Like I say, I could care less if they crawl around into there.
I guess maybe if they were going to fix some of my electronics, that would be okay.
Yeah.
Before I get carried away, test this. See if my plan worked.
Well, that's the problem is you made plans.
Well,
See,
it's only a
if
plan if you put it on paper.
if you just wing it, you know,
I promise that's what
then you can say you never deviated from the plan.
I'm winging everything.
I never use one.
Well, having plans means you got to read.
Well, but that means you have to do what it says too.
Oh, don't go there.
You son of a.
Don't you be cussing on this here radio.
He done good, didn't he, Fred? You son of a bitch.
And daughter wants to have an outdoor movie night before school starts. One of the movies I gave her to choose from was Smokey and the Bandit. I hope she picks that one. I haven't seen it in a long time.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's got so many good one-liners in it.
Yeah.
All right. So we now have almost 4 inches of clearance.
Oh, what did I do with my wrench?
Oh, I guess Jason had to leave.
He probably got bored.
Oh, he has a meeting. He said he had a meeting.
That's awful wibbly wobbly.
Oh, Stephen, don't tell me about the life of a plumber, man.
Yeah, I'm a plumber now.
Yeah. Well, I
I got
started
my
plumbing
journeyman-
back in the 70s.
I got my journeyman's license on the job.
I never got any kind of license, but I did a lot of plumbing when I worked for that windmill company.
Oh, yeah.
We laid a lot of rural water line and anything and everything that had to do with rural water, I've done.
That's just drilling a hole in the side of the house and dumping it out in the pasture, isn't it?
You're darn right.
I remember that from when I was a kid in the desert in California. Any gray water just got dumped out in the sand because it just soaked in no time.
That's I guarantee all of my grandparents, the house that they lived in, all the gray water went about, I don't know, maybe 100 yards north of the house.
Yeah. Well, out in the desert, it just, well, not on our house. Our house was a little more modern, but my uncle's house, he lived in an old adobe house, and all the gray water got dumped just outside the house. I mean, within a few feet of the house. Of course, they also had a burn pit, and you know,
Yeah.
they did have a septic tank.
We didn't have a burn pit. We had a wire mesh trash can that we burned in.
Yeah.
And then every great once in a while, Granddad would go out and load it all up in the back of the pickup, and we took it somewhere else where maybe there was a pit of some kind. I don't ever recall doing that though.
Well, that was the nice thing about the being out in the desert. The nothing out there to catch fire.
Yeah.
And of course, this was all before EPA got crazy with you know, the air quality stuff and all that. What do I do with my tweezers? Dennis, do you have my tweezers?
I got some right here.
What did I do? Oh, here they are. Well, I remember going to the dump with my dad, and it was just two great big pits. These were probably 300, 400 yards long, and I'd say 25, 30 foot deep. And then, of course, whatever width that was to get it to taper at the bottom, and it had wide enough at the bottom that the trash trucks could drive down in the bottom of it. And you just pulled up to the side and dumped it off the side.
No.
And they just covered it up out there. But out there in the desert, they had so much sand, it was pretty easy to do. Tension members, exactly. Oh, I see, like that. Oh. Uh-huh. Well, I didn't know that's how they did these. Now I do, though. The bottom piece, this bottom piece is actually profile of rail. And you're supposed to spike it in place, I guess, at the end of the track. You know, most of the bumpers you get, they fit in between the rails. But the way they've done this one,
It's actually part of it.
it's actually part of the rail. Could
you actually use a rail joiner and?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, look, here's if I can get a good picture of it. You can see the profile on the end of it.
Yeah. Well, it looks like it's got to be code 100 though. Looks pretty tall.
Yeah, let me put it down here against the 70. Maybe 83. Yeah, it's a little taller than the 70. But you're not going to drive over it anyway.
Right.
So I'm telling you to spike this in place and then glue it together. Oh, that's lots of fun. This may get put off for another day. So,
Where's my quarter inch?
oh yeah. Well, that makes a good looking bumper though.
16. I don't have a quarter.
Okay, those are going to get saved for another day. Or I can do them in place. I'll have to paint them first and then put them in. Oh, thank you, Joe. like I keep saying, I think I've bit off more than I really wanted to chew on, but and of course, I haven't done anything with the tracking for so long since I ballasted and stuff. I still got to get in and clean off ballast. And I found one thing too, Dennis, on spiking your rail.
Yeah.
Some of your spikes like to work their way back up.
Yeah,
which is
that's
not good.
I don't think I'm going to do any. If I do any hand laying of track, it will only be on spurs, I think.
Yeah.
Still haven't decided I want to do that yet.
Well, all this new track back here by the slaughterhouse, this is all flex track. Except for the tail back here on the very back end, but of the siding.
Oh, you mean like spiking in your flex track? Is that what you mean?
No. For that, I actually used the Pico track pins because this is Homosote here, so those pins worked really well. And I just drilled a hole through the tie wherever I wanted to pin and put the pin in on the flex track.
Good morning, Steve. Steve Anderson.
No, I'm talking about, all this like behind me right here, the main line on the standard gauge. I noticed some of the spikes looked like they were coming. I can't really tell for sure, but I was getting a derailing right back here. And I don't know if it was ballast in the inside of the rail or if it was the spikes were edging up. But it sure looked like it could have been the spikes. Oh. But after this afternoon, I'm going to start. I'm going to start putting the stock pins up. I've got the double chute finished. I remember how it goes on here. Like that.
About out of screws.
Hey, Dennis.
Yeah.
You built your stock pins to the plan, didn't you?
Yes. I don't think there were two options, like an option A and an option B. I can't remember which one I chose, but I wanted mine a little longer and narrower for the space.
Yeah. Well, see, what I'm doing is taking the material and just making runs with the length of the material.
Yeah.
And then I'll cut it into the size I want. I figured that was going to be a lot easier than trying to figure out what size I wanted before I got there.
Yeah.
Until the other day, I wasn't sure how I was going to set the tracks in here on the slaughterhouse, because I knew I needed some pickup tracks for the reefers, and then I wanted the stock pins to be in the back, and of course they load the cattle in the slaughterhouse in the back on this far side over here, but it comes out in the front. And there wasn't any good way of running it up there. So I didn't want to run the trains this way across this platform. So I built these two extra platforms and I just stub ended them in, and I think that'll work a lot better.
Well, from what I can see of it, it all looks really good.
This is a really interesting little building right here. And you could change it up, these on the side here, you could do without these or move them. This is the powerhouse. This is a wagon shed because most of the Campbell scale models were really built for like turn of the century or just before the turn of the century, more about like what you're doing.
Yeah, which I mean that's the era that my prototype was in. But I'm still thinking I'm probably going to be 1930s. I haven't completely made up my mind, but I guess you can still call 1930 turn of the century.
Well, there still would have been plenty of them around.
Yeah.
At that time, because I'm doing like late 40s, early 50s, so the same kind of thing.
Hey Dennis, who does the vocals on your videos?
If you're talking about the song Dirty Shame, that's my best friend from high school. His name's Scott Nance. He wrote the song. If you listen close enough, you can hear me doing some bad backup vocals during the chorus. But every other instrument on that song is me, except the dobro. What you hear in the intro, the first instrument that you hear, that's Scott. Scott sings, and then everything else is me.
You are very talented.
Cool. Hey, Joe, thanks for dropping by. We'll see you later.
See you later, Joe.
Later, Joe. Have a good day.
That was Mr. Raider. Well, now I don't have anything to do. I really wanted to be working on this cattle pen this morning, but if I do that, I don't have any place to put the computer, so. Oh, I know what I can do. I can set it up there. Let's see if I can get it up there.
All right,
And then drop my wife's laptop on my layout. That would be real good. Let's see if I can get it up there. Ooh, there we go. Now you're on the upper level.
Cool.
I didn't even realize that. That's for a. Huh. That's for a sheep. That's for sheep loading on double stacks. I did not realize that.
I'm going to start fighting with some of this spline, so I'll try and keep from cussing.
Hey, Claude.
Yes, sir.
I think I might have found one of the reasons why this thing wasn't pulling so good, too. Man, I cleaned off the wheels yesterday, and they were just black with grease that was still on there after running all that afternoon up over in Medford.
Well, you know, when you started it up at Train Mountain, there was so much oil on that steaming bay there that you didn't get any traction on it.
I think that might have had a little bit to do with why it was slipping so bad on the hills.
Yeah, most likely. Get that sand dome working, and then you can solve that problem.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe it'll pull, twice as much as you thought it was going to.
Yeah, maybe.
I'll have to rethink that.
There are some guys that actually have tried to work out working sanders on these things, but a lot of them have had issues with the sand getting in all the bearings and stuff.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because that wouldn't be your friend.
52 inches. And I've lost my pencil again.
Are we going to have to make a T-shirt for you too? You know where your pencil is?
I don't know if that will help or not, but
Oh my goodness. Let's see here. That's going to go here.
I need to just get a necklace and tie it around my stinking neck. There it is. I wonder if I can get away with a 3% grade here.
Sure, why not? Just don't expect your Blackstones fully hung up it.
Well,
No, you probably could. Just depends on how much you pull.
my recollection of when I did my little test was that all of my Blackstones, all the K27s anyway, could pull a 3% grade on strength.
Did you test them with cars?
Yeah, with a 10-car train.
Well, mine will go up the helix, and I think I'm close to 3% in there, maybe a little bit over in some places.
How many cars can you pull?
I've not tested that, but I'm planning on doing mainly double heading up that anyway.
Well, and that's definitely an option for me because this is the branch line. And if it's part of it, which I've already kind of figured out that if I want to pull anything with the C19s, I'm going to absolutely have to double head.
Yeah.
Or limit it to, 5 cars only or 4, whatever it is.
Well, that's what they did all the time too. Back then they didn't run very many cars behind them. It's amazing how much energy they put into pulling 1 or 2 passenger cars, or 4 or 5 freight cars.
Right.
But that was better than horsepower. It was either horsepower or rail.
Yeah, and the labor of putting rail down at a less steep grade, I'm sure, was way more expensive, at least initially.
Mm-hmm. Why do I not have a?
That would be 4 1/4 inches. 53
Ah, this is what I was after right here. G. G right there. So need those and then opposite sides. Okay.
What is that? Oh, that would work wonderful, Steve. Hit the wheels with the torch. You like fire to burn off the grease. Oh, that I think that would do a number on the paint.
Okay, now Crazy Joe and Steve Anderson are talking about Godzilla and parrots. I'm not sure what they're what started that conversation, but oh, those are square. Find out what these are. Inch and 5/8. That's B3. So what's a B3? B3 is down here.
Hey, Claude, Steve Anderson says that if it's a slaughterhouse, they'd be bringing out carcasses mostly. So maybe you need some rails along the platform to swing them out to the cars, like hanging racks.
Well, see, it's got a hanging rack on it. It's kind of hard to see, but it's got a hanging rack right here that they come out here. What I'm going to do is I've got a couple of models of some almost like a luggage rack on the old passenger platforms, luggage wagon, something like that. I'll figure something out that'll come down where they'll come down these platforms with the meat. I haven't figured that out yet, but we'll get there. Okay, they're hiding it from me. Dennis?
Yeah.
They're hiding it from me. Do you remember part B3 on the stockyard?
Part B3.
Oh, here it is. Here it is.
Sorry, Claude. No.
It's 1/8 by 1/8 by inch and 3/8 shoot posts.
I was gonna say it sounds like it's one of the round posts.
Yeah, that's what it shows on the plan. But this says it's 1 and 3/8 inches long. And on the plan, oh, that's a B1. That's a different. That's 2 5/16. That looks like that's longer than 2 5/16 to me. Where am I? Yeah. No, that's 2 5/16. I didn't see any in there that long. Now, see, the only thing in the package, in the one that I've got, that's 2 5/16 or square post, which is fine. It doesn't really matter which. Yeah, in this one, they're square post, but I'm trying not to use this kit, the parts out of it, but I want to build the ramp that's in it.
So you're using like scale number to build the kit?
Yeah, I had two of. Yeah, let me show you the box. I can't remember what they call it. The one you had was called the Stockyard. That was kit number 400.
Yeah.
And I have two of kit 437, which are, I don't know if you can see it here or not. That might show good enough. It's the stock pins with double shoot.
Right.
I didn't realize that double shoot meant cattle and sheep, because the second chute on it is a taller one to go to the upper level in a stock car. When they would do sheep, they had the 2-level cars, and I may still use that and have just a small pin for sheep.
Well, could you build it with just not as tall posts?
Yeah, probably.
Are you wanting 2 chutes both for cattle, or?
Because what they used on that was a sliding up and down gate with counterweights on it. Although I like that look. Well, I've got plenty of material. I was just looking for the size on it because this other kit doesn't have anything that long in it. But I've got plenty of scrap material I can use. But on the plan, it was showing the round post, but in the bag, they're square. So I don't guess it really matters which one you use. I know it doesn't matter to me.
Well,
Well, guys, I'm gonna take off.
Okay, Steve.
All right, Steve.
All righty, guys. Thanks for stopping in, chat. I will talk to you guys later.
Hey, make sure you let me know when you're going to go up there and test that again.
Oh, I definitely will.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
See you later. Bernard. Bernard says with B3, I sunk his railroad. I'd probably put this one over here so they can see what I'm looking at. I probably won't be able to read it. The light's kind of awful. And keep that from tipping over. So what I want to do, this is the plan of the stockyard, which I'm not using, but I want to use this ramp here that it's got. Yeah, up in Chama, the cattle pens are still there by the yard. But they don't have the, I think they filled in the dipping chutes that they used to have. Because they used to run a lot of sheep through there.
Yeah.
And I've seen pictures of the chutes where they ran them through, out of the cars into the dipping chutes trough, and then out into the pen. I'll be right back. I gotta run downstairs a second.
Okay.
Okay, 2 pieces of 1/8" square. Yeah, I've got a bundle of this downstairs, probably 30 pieces of it. This 1/8" square, little 3D action there. So I knew I had plenty of material. Now I got to find my pencil. Where did my pencil go? I thought she was right there. Here's my pencil. Oh, there it is.
Well, I solved one problem, but created another. So now I don't know what to do.
Well, what are you actually working on there?
Well, so the 2 loops that leave the division point yard, where I've got one that's going higher up to Aspen, and then the other one goes lower. The problem is the 2 loops have to cross each other. In order for the high one to remain high, it's going to have to go over top of the one that's staying on the low side. I've got less run on the one that's going higher to gain elevation. So figuring out where they're going to cross each other and where I want them to cross each other is a little bit of a challenge. And so I raised this support system, and when I did that, I gained area here that a train could pass underneath, no problems there. But then the same support system won't allow the other track to come underneath it. So I'm kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't on that.
Okay, well, hang on a second. Let me get you to solo. Oh, there we go. Now I can see.
Yeah. So I have to be able to go underneath the support system here. That's where I had 2 inches here, so I raised this whole thing. It's kind of hard to see, but I raised it up 1.5 inches. And then when I did that, now I can't come in underneath this track with the track that's further back that way.
So they're going in opposite directions, obviously.
Well, they're actually going in the same direction. That's part of the problem, is they both need to gain elevation a little bit. The one back there where you can see the leveler, that's coming this way. I've got more run with it, but it actually needs to be beneath this track. So it's probably going to have to happen over here somewhere, which means I need to stay on the inside of this track.
Now your problem is getting under the support of that top track.
Correct.
Can you support
above the support, but beneath the track, beneath the spline? If that makes sense?
No.
Well, let me see if I can.
Well, you're going to have spline on both of these, right? So you just need to be below the spline. From the top of the rail to the bottom of the spline is really all you got to clear.
Yeah, I've got to be beneath this, but above this.
Well, one thing you could do, Dennis, once you've got that spline all glued together, for a portal size width, if you had to, you could cut about half of that or more of that spline out. It would still be plenty strong over that point on the top track, but it would give you clearance underneath.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to have. I'm going to have to cut away some of this, which I already knew that.
Well, yeah, the 1x4s, I wouldn't sweat the 1x4s. I think you can do all kinds of stuff with that. I was talking about actually the spline for the roadbed.
I see what you're saying. I can actually notch out.
Yeah, put an arch in it just right where the track comes under, like a tunnel portal, and that'll let you be up a little higher with that, or lower with the top one if you have to be.
Okay.
And the 1x support, that's easy to fix in most cases anyway. I mean, you can notch it out, and drop the track down in it, and you don't lose any support that way. But as long as you keep those at a short span and don't have, where you notch it and don't have a lot of weight on the outside of it with no under support, you're not going to lose the integrity of that. Not enough for a railroad.
Right. And
now, if you're planning on getting up and walking on it, that's a different matter. But if,
well, no, I'm not.
Our scenery, as heavy as we think it is, it's spread out over such a large area. Usually the weight is that we tend to overbuild them. I know I did mine, but like on my top level, I'm just using 1x2s. I won't have anything heavy up on top.
Here's the example, is that if this track was the track that needs to stay lower, you can clearly see I don't have 3 inches there.
Oh yeah. Well, like I say, you could either notch the top spline a little bit, not notch it, but put a arch in it, and it would just be a short, like going over a culvert or something, where that top's not going to lose any integrity there. That once you get several of those pieces glued together, it's going to be pretty cotton picking strong.
Yeah, the problem though as I see it, is I don't want to do any of that until I know everything's fixed in place. In other words, I
Yeah.
would have to glue all of this before I ever ran this. Oops. So I know I'm going to think on it some more because I think I can do it. It's just a matter of.
But you could also notch, if you had to, you could notch that 1x4 on the bottom and drop that spline down in it on the bottom track too. But it's gonna make a difference on your rise on each track.
Right.
So I would get the top one where you think you want it, and then look at that bottom one.
That's exactly what I'm doing. Is I'm trying to get the top one where I want it, and having some technical difficulties there because I'm having to bend it pretty tight here, and I just lost my structure because I didn't have it shored up enough.
Yeah, Steve says, why don't you use a smaller board for support? 1x2 could handle the weight. If you're worried, get a small piece of angle iron.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I say, we tend to overbuild our stuff a lot of times. If you went back and looked at this mountain back here that I've got before I put plaster on it, it's a hodgepodge of structure, I'll tell you. In fact, it was funny because if you want to see that, go back to the on the thumbnails on the videos, and it's actually the thumbnails when they were building the Matterhorn at Disneyland.
Oh yeah.
It looked about the same thing, because they'd never done something like that before. It didn't look like a building or anything. It just looked like, they're sticking supports up there. But it's basically a railroad is what that Matterhorn is. It's almost identical to what we do with a mountain in modeling. Because that's a fiberglass mountain that they had to put up. So they had the track to support, and then the fiberglass mountain was the only other thing they had to support on it.
Yeah.
Well, I marked that already, didn't I? Yes, I did. Okay. Can't believe I'm actually going to use a razor saw on this. That was awful.
What's this?
It's the camera.
Are you recording?
I'm live on the air, sweetheart.
Oh.
Bill, I think he needs a stiff drink right about now.
Yeah.
Are you frustrated?
He's stressing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little frustrated. I knew this was gonna be complicated, but it is what it is. I'm gonna get it figured out. It's just a matter of getting from point A to point Z.
Yep.
And I haven't quite made it to point A yet, which is part of the
Well, usually it's not nearly as complicated as we want to think it is.
We've got
It always.
tequila and vodka. Which one do you want?
There you go.
I was hoping
Thank me later.
with like some eggs and bacon and sausage. That was Claude's wife fixes him breakfast sometimes, like live on.
No, rarely.
Maybe you
Usually
should.
only when my son's here, because my son always wants to have a full breakfast. I rarely eat breakfast though.
Breakfast is my favorite meal.
You know what I think we ate for breakfast? I think I had almost every morning. I had muffin, sausage McMuffin from McDonald's every morning on that trip. But it was like wake up in the morning, pack all the stuff back in the car, and then hit McDonald's on the way to the highway. Saves a lot of time doing it that way. Right like that.
I can make you a Bloody Mary. I hear those are good for breakfast.
There you go. Put a lot of Tabasco in it, it'll wake him up.
Yeah.
Okay, that goes there like that.
Before I get too fade away, I need to support that laterally somehow.
B4, C4. That's C4. That's a B1. So B1. No. So, oh, there's the one I want. I found the isometric drawing. That'll help a lot. Oh, that sounds cool, Daniel. Daniel Banks is going to build a train room that's going to look like, what did he say? Look like, he said a very Disney approach, like structure on Big Thunder Mountain Ride.
Cool.
Oh, look like a whistle stop station. Yeah. Steve was showing me a guy up at Train Mountain that lives, excuse me, just north of the main part of Train Mountain. He built a house up there and it looks like a passenger station. The whole house does. And he's got tracks that go all, he put tracks in up from Train Mountain up to his house, and he can pull right into his basement workshop.
Neat.
Okay, that one. See, that's a, no, B2 is just a shorter post. That's the kind of stuff you do when you win the lottery. Uh-oh. I just dropped something off. What did I drop? Oh. That won't hurt anything. He said the best part was it's the wife's idea. That's kind of how I got my shop in the house, Daniel. That was the wife's idea. Hey, Mr. Ellison, how you doing? Randall's here. Okay. Got that. We got a B4. That's not one.
I think.
Did you say you think?
Yeah.
That could be the problem.
I'm working backwards here. You know, I tried to fix a problem earlier, created a problem, and then I found a much simpler solution to the first problem. So now I'm going back and
Yeah,
fixing the first problem again.
I hear you. Yeah, turn it. You're fixing it back to what you had before.
Yeah, and I just need to cut the ends of the 1x4s off shorter so that the track that's going underneath them doesn't come anywhere near them.
Yeah.
I don't know
there you
why
go.
I didn't see that to begin with.
Well, that's what I was talking about. The one before
Yeah.
stuff, all of that structure is easy. It's the spline, the road spline, roadbed spline that's going to be the more difficult thing.
Right. The only one problem I have is this one area. You know, I thought that I needed support, you know, right here that's over top of this track, and I've decided that maybe I really don't. I think I can come across somewhere else and be okay there. At least that's what I'm going to try anyway.
Well, yeah, point at that again. Oh,
Right
that's
here.
important there where the triangle's hanging?
Yeah. The problem is that this line is going to have to come over the top of that as well. The question is, can I create something? Because my level is lower here, so I had more clearance. So if I come off of my plate here, out here and support here instead of there, then and cut this right here, I won't have to worry about it there. I'll only have to worry about it here. So,
Yeah. The other thing you can do too, Dennis, doing that spline, is you can always run a screw horizontally through the spline into a support and support from the side of the spline.
yeah.
So, you know, doing it with spline roadbed is really a smart idea. It's just what you got there is so serpentine, it's making it a headache for you. Plus, you're working by yourself.
Yeah. I'm working
You know,
by
usually-
myself and I'm trying to negotiate a really tight curve here too, and trying to keep things, you know, outside of an 8-10 inch radius if at all possible.
Yeah, well, that's that's where having more than one set of hands helps immensely. And you usually see spline roadbed done on, if they're private layouts, they're done with, you know, friends, built with friends.
Yeah.
And if not that, then it's a club layout where you see the spline roadbed done. Because it does take more than one person usually to do that stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely been a challenge.
Well, you're getting there.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be okay not to cut that. I just need to cut it on this end and lower it back down, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. And hopefully I don't waste some 1x4s in the process. Cross saw this.
Is that true, Dennis? Gail says she's not allowed to touch anything.
What's my wife saying?
She said she's telling Bernard that she's not allowed to touch anything.
That's not true.
Oh, so Gail's busted now.
Well, if she sees anything that looks like a button, she's gonna push it. I've got some nice studio monitor speakers that I mix music with, and the tweeter, is just this little black thing that doesn't have any kind of grill over it. She walks into my studio like the month after I got him and sees that and just beep.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, ah! What you doing? I thought it was a button. No, sweetheart. The tweeter.
Well, Gail, it's okay because Brenda feels the same way, even though I don't think I've ever told her, don't touch that. I might have told her if something was wet paint or something like that, but she's not going to touch it just because she doesn't want to break it.
Well, I believe I've offered to let her drive a locomotive, but she's not interested in that. She just wants to touch the buildings for some strange reason.
Okay.
That I've redone what I did. Check. Less than 3 inches. So, there, notch that out. Mess with that today or not.
Well, that was good. Tweeter.
I have taped lines on the floor and I'm supposed to stay in between the lines. Sometimes I purposely put one foot out just to irritate him. That is so not true. She's making stuff up. lines, sweetheart, are to show me where my fascia is and where the aisles are in the layout room, not to keep you in check.
The more I find out about Gail, the more I like her. I already know she's got a good sense of humor.
Oh, yeah.
That's bigger than I wanted. It's not what I want. That's not the ones I want. B15, B15, B15. Door trim too. 337. That's the one I want right there. Yeah. Okay, let's name this stuff. I agree, Bernard. He is blessed to have a woman with good humor. Brenda's got pretty good humor too.
Yeah, it's been an ongoing joke for years that Gail can trip over air.
I've got a granddaughter like that. My granddaughter will fall down. Now she's 16. She'll trip over something and she'll jump and go, I'm okay. I'm okay. She is actually out in the Gulf of Mexico, headed to Cozumel and somewhere else.
All right. Try this again.
Well, sorry about that. My phone died, I guess. I meant to plug the charger in while I'm running it, because that's usually what has to have. Anyway, I had a question for Gail. Is she still on here? As I know, but nobody heard that. Are you there, Dennis?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, hang on. Volume on too. Okay,
Yeah,
now I got it. Well, my phone died, and then I had the speaker off on here, so I couldn't hear you. Anyway, I had a question for Gail, what her hobbies were.
She knits.
She knits. Okay.
And she's pretty good too. She hasn't been doing it for a real long time, like maybe 6 months. I don't know. She'll probably say something in chat, but she's getting real good at it.
Well, that was weird. We lost the show there for a second.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, both videos went down, and I couldn't hear anything, so I'm assuming we lost vocal too.
Well, it did get real quiet there for a while, but I just thought you'd muted yourself.
Well, no, my phone had died before, but no, just now on the computer the video went out. Anyway, you were saying she's real good. You were getting ready to say something about what she was doing, or
Yeah, she's been knitting for, I don't know, 6 months, something like that.
oh, for just 6 months.
Well, I'm not 100% sure. You'd have to get her, but I don't think she's been doing it for a year. Of course, I might not be observing either.
Yeah, I think you just proved that, dude.
That looks better.
More gooder.
We'll get her. Yep.
Well, Gail, that's how you and Brenda differ. She's not a camping girl. Her idea is camping is the Hilton or someplace like that, or La Quinta. She does like to travel though.
Well, let's be honest. Gail doesn't really camp either. She glamps.
Yeah, well, that's if Brenda was going to go, that's what it'd have to be, and it'd have to be somebody else. It'd have to be somebody else doing the cooking and stuff. She always complained that when we went camping, it was like moving the house outside.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah. I didn't mind it when I was younger, but you know, I was always the schmuck that schlepped it all out there and then the schmuck that packed it all up and schlepped it back home.
All right. And I got into a little bit of my pile.
Oh, I'm losing my mind. I just cut them. Where'd I put them? Oh, there they are. Let's see. Didn't get enough on them, did they? I have to do that. earthquake.
Do what?
I said it sounded like an earthquake over there. It looked like an earthquake.
Well, I'm kind of now wondering if I'm just going to have to bite the bullet and make that track go over the top instead of underneath. I'm not seeing a very clear path to go underneath. Unless I go way underneath. I don't want to do that. I think that would be counterproductive to the whole shebang.
You're still coming through right there at that one point.
Right. Because the track way down at this end needs to start its loop somewhere about 10 inches inside of this loop. And I'm just not seeing any path through there, even if I notch things, that's going to let me go underneath. So I think I'm going to have to go over the top and then hide this track, over here on this end until such time it rises higher than that one.
Yeah, it's hard to see from here.
Yeah, I know, without really kind of getting to see the 3D nature of it.
Yeah.
Unless I go way on the inside of the loop here. If I start my loop here, I don't know, maybe I might be able to sneak underneath here, but that would really bring the loop way out here and cover up probably more than half of my workbench, which I don't want to do.
Yeah.
On my plan, probably the last 2 feet of my 8-foot workbench is underneath the layout, in addition to about 18 inches across the backside of it. But I think if I start that loop too far back this way, there's really no way to get back up against that wall without taking greater than half of the workbench, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So,
are you going to be home next Saturday?
I will. Unfortunately, that's my on-call weekend, and I would say I never get called out, but I guarantee if I had company, probably within 15 minutes of us started on something, I would get called out and have to drive an hour and a half away.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and I hate to have you wait that long. I was going to say, if I'm there, it'd be a lot easier to help you with this and have some ideas maybe. But it's like I told Steve when he's building his loco, if I was there, it'd be a whole lot easier to tell what's going on. It's really tough over video.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to see the 3D part of it.
Exactly. Which I'm pretty happy with all of it. I feel like I've probably seen enough of it that I could make some of this permanent, because that's been my process, is you kind of feel it out, make the decision whether or not it's going to work, and then you make the structure that's going to support it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like I say, I'd be wanting to come out next weekend but I hate to make you wait another week before I do that.
Well, I mean,
I know how you are. You'll have it all put in.
yeah.
But
Another option for me, and I'll probably go ahead and do this. Let me, I'll move. And probably what I need to do is go back in here and rough in my yard track. It might be possible that these switches right here could be moved forward, I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 inches, which might change a little bit of where my splines begin, and I might have a little more latitude that way. But I really, if I only get, even if I was able to get 12 inches, I don't think that's going to equate to enough distance that I'll be able to sneak that other track underneath. I don't know. That's the only other thing I can think of, is to remove about a foot of the plywood here and then push these 2 switches, my three-way and that left-hand turnout, forward.
because that's level, right?
Yeah, and it needs to be level.
I was gonna say if you put a little bit of incline on that, you could probably get away with some.
Yeah, but it looks to me like I'm needing 2 to 3 inches of clearance, And I'm thinking right now, I'm thinking it would just be easier to go over the top of it, but I don't even know that I can do that. I may have completely misjudged this part of the layout, and we'll need to go back to the drawing board a little bit on some of it.
Yeah. Well,
Because when you're figuring your grades and your clearances, you also have to take into account that's terrible. That's even worse. the distance of this, and that is one thing that I failed to do in this particular section of the railroad, is to account for, I think that's an 1 3/4 inches. I don't remember.
yeah, but that's what I was talking about. Right at that point where the track goes underneath that spline, once you're glued all together, and you cut a small arch in that, even if it's 1 inch, you still got enough strength should have enough strength in the spline once it's glued together to do that without anything distorting.
Yeah.
And then if you can do a 1/2 inch or 1 inch on the bottom into the support with that other track,
Yeah.
then you might be able to pull it off. But like I say, it's hard to see it from here without, having both of them up there and seeing what's going to go.
Yeah.
And of course, then on the screen right here, it's really hard to tell how much distance you got and all that stuff.
Yeah. Probably nearly impossible.
Plus, I don't have near as much of a comprehension of what the plan is as you do.
Right.
Or what you want it to do. So that makes a difference also. Anderson says the spline only needs to be about 1 inch, and he said that's still overkill. Well, yeah, but for narrow gauge, probably 1 inch would probably have been enough. But that's that's really not the problem.
Well,
I think
that would help a lot, though. Then if I only needed to gain 2 inches, we're
Well-
maybe we're in the ballpark. I think that's a good idea. Maybe in this area, as I leave here
Yeah.
and transverse to where I'm over top of the workbench, maybe I put this spline up on my radial arm saw and I make it 1 inch instead of 1 3/4. That's an idea. I like that idea.
Well, if you've got some more hardboard, I'd cut new before I'd cut any down and use what you've got in other places.
I don't.
Oh, okay. You already cut it all?
Yeah, it's and this is 1/4 inch. I had to special order it because I just can't go into any lumber store and get what I want without having to special order most of the time. If I'm lucky, I can get the 1/8 inch. They generally will have some 1/8 inch. If I'm lucky, they'll have it perforated, with the little holes in it, so
Yeah.
pay forward. But solid, I'm kind of rolling the dice if they have that. Why do you say
What
not
thickness?
not go ahead and rip this?
What thickness is that?
Huh?
What thickness is that you have?
That I have right now? All of this is 1/4 inch.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't even have tried to do a 1/4 inch.
Well, my rationale was for one, I thought it might keep it from twisting as you go around the curves.
Yeah.
And even with the 1/4 inch, there's still a little bit of a torque when
once
you
the banks.
go around banks. And of course, I want to build stuff that is not going to be flimsy.
Well,
And maybe that's part of the
I
problem.
figured that out. Well, if I come out there, I can bring you material because they'd have it here in town.
Yeah.
The problem is I don't have my truck anymore. Although I brought.
I think I've got all the materials I need. It's just a matter of wrapping my mind around what I need to do.
Yeah.
And kind of seeing it, which I'm at a point now to where I see what this track needs to do. I think I'm exactly where I need to be with it. The next thing is probably just go ahead and starting here with a couple of loops and just kind of see where it wants to lay. I think that's the next thing. Problem with that is I have now made use of every one of my clamps. And so I can't really unencumber my clamps without making some of this permanent. So,
Well, like on your 1-bys where you've got 1-bys clamped to risers, put a screw or two in them. I use drywall screws on them usually, but go ahead and put a couple of screws in there so they don't move too much. And then you can use those clamps for something else.
yeah. That's what I need to do is figure, because I think like right here, this is working. I gain a lot by using, I'm guessing that's 2 inches.
Yeah.
I gain a lot.
1 to 2.
I just need to come up with a couple of those and figure out how I'm going to make that permanent.
Yeah. Yeah. Doggone it. I wish I was standing there with you. It'd be so much easier. But it's doable. I know it's doable. Now you may have to fudge a short stretch of percentage and rise.
Yeah.
At some point, but it's doable. I mean, I know it's doable. It's just a matter of how you want to get there. And of course, you're trying to clamp everything up. And that's the other problem is nothing's permanent, and even semi-permanent.
Right.
where you can then not worry about it coming loose from the clamps and stuff and while you're moving things. I used to have several of the 2-inch and 4-inch spring clamps, and I've got a bunch of other kind of clamps. I used to have a lot more than I have now because I used to do countertops too. But
And right now, I've got this relatively at a 3% grade. I don't know that I can prove it, but I think that's what I'm at.
well, there's a chart, and I can send you the link to it that calculates the grades.
Yeah, I've got a spreadsheet that I figure all my rises and my runs, and it's an Excel spreadsheet. I created a rise run grade calculator, and that's what this is based on.
Yeah,
I left here and ended up there. I know between here and there is 3%. I'm just not 100% sure that I've actually got the same length. I haven't measured my run yet to know for sure that it's actually the way.
Yeah.
I know I've got more than 8 feet, but I don't think I have 12 feet. And I figured it at 12 feet. And so I'm probably greater than 3%. I don't know. I probably need to go ahead and measure that just to see, just for fun. This is what I use to measure my spline.
Oh, there you go. Works, especially around curves.
If your clamps aren't in the way.
Well, I used to measure my runs, I just used a regular tape measure. And that's not real accurate, but it's, it gets you close. Was that one piece of spline?
It's 2, but it's not 2 full sheets.
Oh, okay.
One of the things that I've found is that if you're on a tight curve right in here,
Yeah.
you really need to overlap it in order to keep a nice radius with no kind of kinks in it.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got 10 feet, so I'm definitely probably a little more than a 3% grade there.
Well, like I say, there's not much else I can add from here. But
Yep. I'm at a jumping off stage where I just need to figure out what it is I want to do. And that's probably going to be go ahead and firming in the support structure for this track. I think I like this. I just might need to adjust this end down here, down a 1/4 inch or something to keep it where it needs to be.
yeah.
Base it on 10 feet instead of 12 feet. Because I think that's going to work.
Okay. Well, I'm willing to run out next weekend.
Well,
and take the chance on you not getting called out.
man, that would be awesome.
I'll just do that. If you get called out, before I get there, just holler at me and I'll turn around.
What time do you think you could be here?
Well,
I can almost guarantee I won't get called out until the afternoon because
I'd leave here early.
Yeah, because, generally speaking, nothing happens until after 2 o'clock in the afternoon when everybody wakes up.
Yeah.
Everyone will be asleep until about 2 o'clock, and then if something happens, it will be.
Yeah. Okay. No, I would probably plan on leave because it's 3.5 hours out there at least. So I'd try to leave here by probably 4 in the morning and get out there fairly early.
Yeah. Yeah, I would be willing to bet we could for sure get in a half day,
Yeah.
Worst case scenario.
Yeah, because I'd hate to get there at 10 o'clock and then you have to leave in an hour,
Right.
But I bet I can talk Brenda into coming too.
Well,
But anyway, yeah, I'll just plan on doing that.
okay.
So I'll run out. Well, she'd probably be with me, but who knows? I don't know what she's got planned, if anything, and I'll let you know if that changes.
Okay.
But yeah, that'll be a lot easier to look at it and say, hey, well, this might work this way. And I'll bring some clamps and stuff if I can remember.
Okay.
Because I've got a bunch of bar clamps and spring clamps and stuff like that. All righty, let's plan on that.
Okay. That sounds like a load of fun.
Well, we're at 2.5 hours, so I think I can smell lunch. She's got lunch going down there.
Yeah, I imagine everyone in chat has had enough.
Okay, well, you got a couple of questions here you need to answer right quick. Daniel, well, Bernard says, Dennis, is your track plan off the hip, or in other words, build as you go?
I have a track plan. It's on Empire Express. It's not the free version. I've got the $29 version. It's not the greatest CAD program for model railroad you can get by any means, but that's exactly what I've used to this point.
And Daniel wants to know if this is a double deck layout or a layout with a high and low line.
I would call it a high and low line. Now back here where my staging yard is, there will be a dedicated second deck up above it. And then on the very back of that deck, there will be a high line that goes across that will be its own industry section here, its own town here at a different level than the one that's back here.
Yeah. All righty. Well, with that, we'll we'll say goodbye, guys. Well, if I come out Saturday, though, maybe we'll just have to start the show up out there and
Hey, yeah.
let them watch while we're trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
We could do that.
Yeah.
All right, because I was trying to think, do I have anything on Saturday? Duh.
Back on track.
Yep. We got the show to do. So, all righty. Well, I will see you Saturday, and I'll text you if anything happens between now and then that I can't make it. But I don't expect it to.
Yep.
So, well, thanks, guys, for showing up, and hope you all have a good week. And we'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks, guys.